What? What's the problem? Well, what was so bad about that?
Okay, well, I guess I'm canceled. Hey, you know what this reminds me of? Video games are fun. They are a great form of art and entertainment, but just like movies and television, video games also get made! But even though there are plenty of games that come out and we get to play them, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes there is a game in development and for whatever reason, however far from the finish line, it never sees the light of day. You got your Scalebound, your Star Wars 1313s, your StarCraft Ghosts, your Mega Man universes, your Last of Us multiplayers, your Silent Hills. These are a small number of games that were in development at one point, but for one reason or another, got canceled.
It's unfortunate, and I'd love to talk about, games that could have been, but there's another subsect of canceled games I don't feel like people talk about as much.
Usually a game gets canceled, and that's that. But what happens a lot is a game gets canceled, but resurfaces years later. Maybe someone takes home a build of a canceled game and it just sits in their attic for 20 years. Or an Xbox 360 remaster of the GoldenEye 007 game on N64 gets leaked online, but then found out that it was originally canceled because development started before the rights got sorted out. Or sometimes the publisher that canceled the game goes on to re-release it, or in this case, release it themselves for a special occasion or whatnot. These lead to canceled games that you can play. And that's what we're going to look at today. Now keep in mind, these are all games that were never really meant to be released, at least not originally. At a certain point they were never meant to be released, so I can't really make fun of them in the same way that I normally would. Also, there's a lot more examples in this. Some games I couldn't really get to work. This is a big topic, and if you want me to revisit this topic a different day, let me know. I can do some other canceled games. But either way, let's get into it, starting with Sunman for the NES. Sunman! Wow, that logo looking pretty Superman. Man, he's looking awfully Superman. Did somebody order a Superman? So yeah, you may have noticed that Sunman bears a striking resemblance to Superman, but that's no coincidence. The reason Sunman over here looks an awful lot like Supes is because Sunsoft were actually working on a Superman game for the NES, but then they lost the license, renamed it to Sunman, exhibit yours truly, but then got canceled completely. Now that we know that, let's see the game. As in, play more of the game, because we already see it, we already know what it looks like. So basically what we got here is some sort of beat-em-up where you fight moth people and spider robots and walls and these things. And this guy. It's not really much to write home about. It's not great or anything, but I'm not sure why it was canceled. Maybe it was a tax write-off. Something that Warner Brothers took a page out of years later. And Warner Brothers happened to be the company that owns Superman. And remember, Sunman was originally a Superman game. And got canceled, perhaps for a tax write-off. I rest my case. So Sunman might be one canceled NES game that is easily accessible online, but Bioforce Ape is another canceled NES game that is easily accessible online. And can I just say, Bioforce Ape. That's gotta be the coolest name for anything I've ever heard. So in case you couldn't tell, this game is really, I was gonna say fast, but I don't know if that's the right word. I literally just started the game and haven't done anything, and Mr. Bioforce Ape himself has flown all over the goddamn place. Ooh, an enemy! Let's go! Let's beat him up! Why did they cancel this? All jokes aside, I will say the controls are very inconsistent. I know it probably has something to do with the type of build this game is that I'm playing, or this is just how the game was and they realized that and they scrapped it, but Mr. Ape can't jump that high, and when you walk, it looks like you move like 1 pixel at a time, but then all of a sudden he starts running so fast he starts to outrun the screen.
Did I just suplex a kangaroo? No fucking way, dude.
So you mean to tell me that the universe allowed Lord of the Rings Gollum into this world, but we couldn't get this? I'm an ape who just did a fucking pile driver to beers from Dragon Ball Z!
This game is awesome! I need to celebrate! Unfortunately, though, we have to move on to the SNES. And one game I find interesting is a Batman game.
Huh. Real shitty Batman?
Also, what? I'm not playing on an emulator! Something's off.
I get it. This game got canceled, so maybe a little low-hanging fruit, you know, to make fun of this necessarily, but is there really gonna be no music? So, I'm fighting enemies, yay! Man, these are some iconic Batman enemies, and totally not, you know, like, scaled up sprites ripped straight out of Double Dragon 3. Also want to mention that I don't have the footage muted. Not only is there no music, there's just no sound either. Also, I love how each of these characters have names. Like, this is Gregory, this is Charles, and this is Alfred.
Sorry, I was just looking for the part where I asked.
And now we got Chester.
Still didn't ask.
This is clearly a very early version of the game. In fact, it's clear that this game didn't get too far in development before getting canceled. From the research I did, it seems that Software Creations pulled the plug because they just didn't think it was that good. And while it's a little too early in the game to say whether or not the final product wouldn't be that good, I'm not quite sure what this game was going to be.
The Joker? Already?
Alright, you're going down, Joker. Let's go! Is he alright?
Now, not only is the Joker very glitchy, but if you look very closely, you can see that his sprite is just the exact same as Chester and Alfred and Bob and... who are the other two? Charles and Gregory and Bob and Alfred and Chester from earlier. And you thought I wouldn't notice.
Okay, I beat the Joker. Now what? Okay, I guess it's just another level. Huh?
I beat the game. How long did that take me? That's gotta be a new world record. And no cheating! Alright, I didn't cheat. Staying on the SNES, one of the more popular canceled games on there, and probably of all time, is by Nintendo themselves. That is none other than Star Fox 2.
Star Fox 2 is an interesting one for a reason I'll get to later, but the sequel to the, at the time, very impressive technical showcase that was Star Fox was in development, but then the Nintendo 64 came out, so Nintendo scrapped development on Star Fox 2, and then did Star Fox 64 for the N64. The reason Star Fox 2 is unique, though, is because unlike most of the games in this video, Nintendo did eventually release this game. They included it in the SNES Classic Edition and then eventually added it to Nintendo Switch Online, so now I must play it.
Oh god! Not a space eel!
Okay, we got Star Fox 2 starring Fox, Falco, Slippy, Peppy, I don't know who these are, but let's go. I will say the presentation for a canceled SNES game is very nice. Like, you can totally convince someone that this was actually released. It seems like development was actually coming along nicely, but it was just bad timing. So I actually get to select my character. Of course, I gotta pick Fox, but as it turns out, the two newcomers are named Miu and Faye. So along with Fox, I'm gonna pick his sister, Miu.
Just assuming that's his sister. I don't actually know.
And I don't really like this game that much. The controls are very odd, specifically the camera controls. Keep in mind I'm playing the Switch Online release using a Pro controller, but the camera controls for up and down and side to side are the opposite. Sometimes you play a game and you move the stick to the right, but the camera moves to the left. That's kind of normal, I guess. That doesn't really happen here side to side, but it does up and down. So I have to follow my target while simultaneously moving the camera in a weird direction. That's like weirdly diagonal. You get what I'm saying? Did I just confuse the shit out of you?
I'm sorry, I can't really play this one. Maybe it's something I'm doing wrong, or maybe it's just easier to play on an actual SNES controller, but regardless, I want to move on from Star Fox to Star Fox. Kind of. Maybe. Let me explain to you.
About 10 months ago, I covered many clones and ripoffs of The Legend of Zelda, and one of those games was Star Fox Adventures. And I explained how the game was originally in development for the N64 as a game called Dinosaur Planet. But then Shigeru Miyamoto looked at it and said,
"Yo, put Star Fox in that shit." Miyamoto, you fucking genius!
Dinosaur Planet then became Star Fox Adventures, and development shifted over to the GameCube because of timing, and we got the game I covered 10 months ago. But years later, the prototype of Dinosaur Planet on the N64 leaked online.
And I'm gonna play it!
So the game starts pretty much exactly where Star Fox Adventures does, with some notable differences. For one, Crystal, and yes, this is still Crystal, talks in an actual language. She's also got some American English accent going on too.
I've had a garbled message from the wizard. Something about a floating mountain hidden within a storm.
Even this first part of the game where you shoot the ship was in Star Fox Adventures, except I think it's kind of better here actually. There's no 5-hour-long cutscene to reveal the ship. Shooting the ship is still a little wonky, but not as much as it is in the final build, and the game is kind of smooth.
Now keep in mind, I'm playing a version of the game that was leaked online, but this specific version is actually patched by fans, so it's probably in a much better state than it would have been otherwise, but either way, still pretty good.
Okay, so now I get to fight an enemy. Yeah, let's go. Fight me!
I'm the best.
Oh no, now we meet General Scales, who is also in Star Fox Adventures.
The more I think about it, the more bizarre it is to me that this turned into a Star Fox game.
I can't believe the wizard asked a girl to do his dirty work.
Oh, so you're not gonna cancel him for blatant sexism and misogyny, but you're gonna cancel me for saying that the double standard on you.
You coward, Scales! My mother will send an army against you!
Ah, yes, Princess Kate. Your mother.
That's the princess? That little pterodactyl?
I'm okay, I think. Now how do we steer the ship?
Answer her!
Also, I just want to point out that they make a big deal about the princess being locked up, but come on, I think she's small enough to go through the bars, right? Am I crazy for thinking that?
It's actually a pretty decent version of an early version of Star Fox Adventures, but we've had enough of Nintendo. Let's move on to Sega and Sonic.
Sonic has had a lot of canceled games. Sonic DS was gonna be a Sonic game for the DS, where you tap the screen to go faster. Sister Sonic was a remake of an old PC game called Pop Full Mail, but in this game, you were gonna play as a new character named Sister Sonic, who, despite what the name may imply, is actually Sonic's unspecified female relative, and not his sister. What the fuck? That's kind of stupid. And of course, there is the Sega Saturn Sonic Extreme, where you play the game through a fisheye lens, but got canceled because of overworked employees and development just not going well.
But the one I want to look at today is a game called Sonic Crackers, which, going off of that title, I have no idea what to expect.
Alright, what's going on here?
Oh, I get it now. Sonic crackers. Are we still rolling? Because you guys, one of you guys need to explain this to me. I don't get it at all. Oh, we are still rolling? I get it!
This game is really weird. Sonic and Tails are each holding a ring, which I guess links them together. And I can see what they were going for with this game. It's a Sonic game with the levels designed like Sonic levels, except there are certain areas that are a bit difficult to get to, so you would have to use the ring link thingy to launch Tails to the platform and then get Sonic up there too. Not a bad idea, but my god, is this a very rough draft version of that idea. It also makes sense that Sonic Crackers did not get very far in development, as it is believed to be somewhat of a blueprint for the eventual Knuckles Chaotix. I don't really know what I'm doing though, so...
I'm sorry, I was being timed?
Alright, so now I'm in this special stage, I guess. And by special stage, I mean there's really nothing to do here. Literally, there is nothing. This is how you know you are playing a game that wasn't really meant to be played.
Let's move on to the PS1. And one game that I find very interesting on there that got cancelled is a prototype version of Resident Evil 2.
This one is pretty different from most of the other games in this video. It's kind of like Dinosaur Planet, except what came from that was more or less, you know, Star Fox Adventures, I guess, you know what I mean? The same. This version of Resident Evil 2, most well known as Resident Evil 1.5, and is what I'll be referring to it as, was almost kind of a different take on RE2 before Capcom pivoted and gave us the game we know today.
So without further ado, let's go play Resident Evil 1.5.
This game contains scenes of explicit violence and gore.
Well, like what? Shit!
Look, I know you are in like an intense battle with zombies and whatnot, but you could at least like throw out that can instead of stepping on it. Alright, we got Resident Evil 1.5, even though it says Biohazard 2 because this is the Japanese version and Resident Evil is called Biohazard over there, and this was the sequel before it wasn't. So just like Resident Evil 2, I get to select one of two characters, and one of them of course being Leon Kennedy, but unlike RE2, Claire Redfield is not here, but my other option is Elza Walker, who I'm gonna pick because she doesn't actually exist. So we start with an intro to the game that is similar to the one in RE2, but a little different, and now we play the game. That was close. This must contain them for some time. Hey, is anyone else here?
Elza, honey, don't you know? That can get you killed!
So this is Resident Evil 1.5, and it is very much like RE2. It seems to have almost the exact same setup, but overall, a different take on it, if you know what I mean. Like, the overall game. It is very spooky with the atmosphere, the zombies all over, the ominous music, and worst of all, the controls. Oh, come on! Look, I've made my opinion on the PS1 Resident Evil games known in the past, but early tank controls have aged just as well as the finest milk.
Yeah, shit fucking sucks.
Oh shit, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Oh well, thanks for letting me know I died anyways. It was kind of difficult to tell, you know what I mean?
So I'm gonna put down Resident Evil 1.5, but don't worry. Just don't worry. Moving on to what I think might be one of, if not the most famous, or possibly infamous, depending on how you look at it, example of a canceled game that got leaked online and is now easily accessible, and that is the PS1's very own Thrill Kill.
Thrill Kill is somewhat important and kind of has a significant mark on video games despite being cancelled, as it is one of only 2 console games to be given the very rare AO or adults only rating, the other being GTA San Andreas, which is a whole can of worms I don't really want to get into right now. In fact, the adults only rating turned out to be Thrill Kill's biggest downfall, as EA gained the publishing rights to the game and chose not to release it or even sell it to other publishers because of its violence.
Damn! How bad can it be? What do you want me to say?
That's gotta be perhaps the most bizarre way to reveal the company's logo. You got intense music, intense sound effects, an intense close-up on a pupil only for this person to close their eye to reveal their pulsating eyelid and the name of a publisher that I can relate to oh so well.
We actually haven't gotten into the game yet, so I should probably, like, you know... What am I getting myself into?
So let's look at this roster. We got Tormentor, we got Oddball, we got Belladonna, we got Dr. Faustus, we got come on dude, the Imp.
Not just any imp, this is the imp.
Can't forget about Violet, or Mammoth, or fucking Cletus? Why does this guy, with blood all over his face, who is in the same game as a character named Tormentor and fucking Oddball, have just a regular human name? And follow-up question, why is his name Cletus? You know, I'm being a little too harsh on Cletus over here. Let me make it up to him by playing as Cletus.
Cletus. Begin.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of speechless.
I don't really know what it is about this game. Maybe it's the bizarre characters, maybe it's the fact that I'm playing as a guy named Cletus and he looks like if Stone Cold Steve Austin died but then got Frankenstein back to life and he uses a severed leg as a weapon. Maybe it's the overly violent and sexual nature of the game. I don't know what it is, but Thrill Kill might just be one of the best things I've ever seen and played, and EA choosing not to publish this is far worse than any predatory loot boxes and microtransactions will ever be. The best way to describe Thrill Kill is, what if Power Stone and Mortal Kombat made sweet, sweet love and had a baby? The result would be this game. It's actually pretty fun, but clearly unfinished, at least the version I'm playing, but look at that, I just won. I don't know where to begin here, really. Do I comment about the sexual moan at the beginning? Do I question that random poster on the wall? Do I say something about how the Imp is a short guy who fights on stilts wearing a thong?
And he's cracked! I'm gonna call quits on Thrill Kill for now. Fun fact though, even though Thrill Kill might have gotten cancelled, it actually got reworked and reskinned into a Wu-Tang Clan fighting game. Why is everything about this game just so bizarre? Finally though, I got one more game I'd like to show you guys today. But again, if you guys like this idea and you want me to do more of this stuff, you know, you can still tell me. I can't do it if you don't tell me. Let's jump up a little bit to the PSP with none other than Saints Row Undercover.
Saints Row Undercover, as you might have picked up from what I just said 2 seconds ago, was in development as a little spin-off of Saints Row for the PSP. However, the game faced many issues during development, which led to the cancellation of the game, but unlike just about every other game we looked at today, and more like Star Fox 2, Saints Row Undercover was actually somewhat officially released, but unlike Star Fox 2, in 2016, Volition Games and THQ actually published the prototype of Saints Row Undercover on the PSP Store for free.
That's a nice gesture from a developer and publisher who really didn't need to do that. So without further ado, let's go play Saints Row Undercover.
So the game pretty much immediately boots up into a character customization. You can clearly see that this game is just not finished. My name is Lieutenant Jimbo Schlemmer, and this here is a boot camp training for the STLL Water Pulse Academy.
So obviously the lowercase L's and the uppercase I's look the exact same in this game, but that's not my main takeaway. I want to ask you guys this. Who do you guys like more? Thrill Kill's Cletus or Saints Row Undercover's fucking Lieutenant Jimbo?
Also, this guy, he's pretty cool. So I'm playing and I have objectives, but why do that when you can just fuck around? If there's any game in this video that was clearly not finished, it's this. And that's funny because this one is only one of two to get officially released. But that doesn't matter. Let's go beat the shit out of this guy.
Mwah. Chef's kiss.
This game, if I'm gonna be honest, it's not very playable. You got a whole bunch of weapons here, but the weapon will swap without you doing anything. In fact, it kind of swaps every time you move. Additionally, your character will randomly crouch and do like a stealth walk, then go back to doing a normal walk, and as far as I'm concerned, you can't really do anything about it. Sometimes the camera will have a seizure, sometimes the buttons don't do anything when they should. This game fucking sucks. Or at least I would say that if this was a fully finished game that they charged for. The fact that this was put out officially for free, I got some respect for that. Wow, look at that woman's leg. Look at that guy's arm. Look at these random ass cars falling from the sky. Look at that crack in between my character's hair and his head.
Come in!
DPX Solo, you are under arrest. You have the right to remain silent.
Well, I guess I'm in jail now. What did we learn?
Today, we looked at multiple games that were meant to be locked up, thrown in a vault, never to be played.
Just like me!
But sometimes, it happens. It gets out there, and you know what? Cool. Sure, Star Fox 2 and Saints Row Undercover are rare examples of actually officially released games that were originally cancelled, but had it not been for leaks, Bioforce Ape would have just been an excerpt on Nintendo Power. Dinosaur Planet would have just been the name of an early version of Star Fox Adventures. And Thrill Kill would have just, actually, I'm not quite sure what Thrill Kill would have been. And the crazy thing is, there are way more cancelled games that have playable versions somewhere out there. And even the ones that aren't, someday, they'll hopefully get their due.
So to answer my question that I asked earlier, what did we learn? I don't know. I guess playing games that were never meant to be released can get me in jail. Hello? Yeah, isn't it weird that I have my phone in jail? That's why I'm locked up? Same reason that I got canceled earlier that we kept bleeping? Because it said tank controls suck? Oh, give me a fucking break, dude.